Alright, folks, we are live. This is Rekla, and with me is Grushk, and we are bringing the Match 2 semifinals of Season 6 to you tonight.
So who's in this match anyway?
KCS and Stars are in this match. And
Oh, is that who made it to the playoffs?
Indeed. You know, it's surprising. It's surprising. Sometimes you just have to go on the DSL page and look at what's going on. But Stars has notably chosen to double up here. And there was a little bit of commentary on the forums, and it's always funny because you can never tell if it's a troll. And if the person, like Azzure, for example, posted that he would rather have Zad in there, and I'm sure Stars are looking at that and going, well, this is Charlie, so is this something that we should take seriously? But they do know what they want to do, and they are doubling up, and it's consequential because they only have this one chance.
Now, definitely anything can happen, and things can change, especially with powerful casters in there. You know, more E-drains faster on the right people. I think they got one good E-drain off on Tyrcell, but other than that, they hit like some Charmies and Slann, whereas, you know, obviously you want to hit Tyrcell and Merilith. But looking at that last match, you know, Merilith was link dead for like half of it, and Sharks still won. So it's got to make you a little bit nervous about that composition.
He was link dead for a good 3 ticks.
But on the other hand, you know, Stars have beaten Card Sharks A team with this lineup as well. So it's not like it's like a complete bust or anything, but it's still going to be a little nerve-wracking going back in with the same lineup.
Certainly not. And to be completely frank here, what happened was that KCS made fewer mistakes than Stars last match. You know, one error that was kind of unforeseen because Kimpaz had done it so successfully most of the season is that he captured immediately when he came back on the same time. And really the mistake was that he did not wait for the rest of his team to get out there. So there was a good tick or so where KCS just tilted their heads and went, this Minotaur Invoker is alone. He's stationary. Let's go kill him. And then it worked.
And I don't necessarily think the capturing was a mistake. We actually talked a little bit about this the other day.
Well, he needed to have his people with him. I mean, that's the important aspect. If he did it alone and then they all got on him and he had no backup, then that's trouble.
Well, he was trying to counter cap. You know, the enemy team, Sharks did have the flag, and he was trying to counter cap. The problem was that they scored like right before he picked up the flag. He didn't. No. He wasn't fast enough stopping the pickup.
Right.
And if you know they don't score because on this one. And
well, it's interesting. I mean, on the other hand, he may have not had a choice, but it just put him into such a terrible situation. Oh, Undung is saying that your mock is cutting out a little bit, but say something for me just to clarify.
Testing 1, 2, 3.
You're fine.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, you're fine. There is a little bit of an echo though. I don't know.
No, Ferg, you know, if I was saying something about Grump and Medio, I'd be screaming a lot more.
Medio! Now we are off in 15 seconds. Just a reminder that if KCS wins this match, there are a lot of interesting statistics here. If KCS wins this match, this is the second time they've pulled an enormous upset and put the favored team out of the finals. And it also, I was looking up Stars information earlier. They've only been in the playoffs twice. I think it was Season 2, which they won.
Bodrum does take an eye rake.
It was Season 2, which they won, and then Season 4, which they lost to QS. So they are 1-1 in playoffs. So if they lose, then they're officially a losing playoffs team, even if they won the finals 3 times.
And Azzure was defensive with a shield, and he got his shield kicked.
Oh, yeah. Grendel always goes for that.
Another important note there.
Azzure is the first to dip into yellow. Whether that's a prophecy, we will see.
Yeah, they're definitely trying to. It seems like they are trying to knock him out.
And he dips into red immediately. And this
He's
This
just
is
not playing
something.
defensive enough.
This is something that Azzure has done frequently, the same as Szy'gash, which is that if you're an assassin, you don't want to be flashing when the team is on you. Like, priority is if there are 3-4 people on you, you flee, stance defensive shield, and you stay out until. Oh,
Okay,
Kempaz drains Merilith, which is going to be consequential.
Now, if they can hit one onto Tyrcell, and well, Grendel takes an E drain,
It's
but
just a little more relevant. Bodrum and Kempaz are, again, I believe they're blind because Bodrum would not be draining that elemental otherwise.
Bodrum is eye raked.
Okay, so the exact same thing happened to him again, where they rushed and he didn't get on the Draco. I take it.
Yeah, I don't believe he even was attempting it. I think he knew they were coming for him.
Right. Another flash right on the top of the tick there. Both assassins are doing their job. Now, the thing is, you know, when you don't have a double healer comp, when you just have Szy'gash as the sole healer in the Stars lineup, the mages excluded, as long as they are targeting the melee, Azzure and Szy'gash, then KCS comes up on healing. So anytime that their team dips in, anytime that Stars dip into red, that's good for KCS because they have healing on the back of that. Azzure's still taking enormous damage, just the Wrath maims. Grendel loves to get into yellow. It's his favorite thing.
Well, yeah, as a barbarian, you know, a lot of times you'll dual wield and actually put yourself in harm's way just to get to where you can start power swinging.
Mm-hmm. Now an acid blast.
But that's some nasty damage on the Slann. The
It
spell
is.
damage sucks.
It is, but as long as they're mitigating it, which, you know, if you're in white, you're always good. You can afford to have a little leeway.
5 attacks off of Bodrum. How does he get that many attacks? I mean,
Tyrcell is in red, but so is Azzure. They are trying to kill him pretty badly, but knowing the player, unless he wants to die, which there's no reason he should, he won't. Meanwhile, Grendel is just basically pounding on everybody. Again, Bodrum is still blind. You can tell by the unfocused acid blast here.
Yeah, he's just doing whatever he can to whoever he can until he can see again.
Mm-hmm. And, you know, the consequence of the Draco not being there is that it's just an additional flash target. Szy'gash is in red as well so far. KCS looks to be winning the head-to-head here.
Yeah. But then that's also to be expected.
Mm.
You know, between Grendel does take the blind.
Yeah. But Merilith is in there, so, you know, this is...
It won't last too long.
Right.
But
and it's in red flag, so it's an easy cure. Let's just go to the red flag room, all west.
But the...
Merilith may be blind from flash, though. They flash before the tick?
Not sure, but this is not unexpected. You know, you expect Sharks to win the initial heads up, and then Stars to kind of drag things out afterwards.
And Azzure did flash twice off the top of the tick. Slann did not. Oh, there he goes.
And we've got a double flash from Azzure trying to make sure that it hits from both players, actually.
All right, Grendel does take the cure. Merilith is finally unblind off these flashes. Both assassins playing a very good flash game, but Grendel is still hurting Szy'gash, and Azzure and Kempaz. They're all in red. Slann does get a clutch choke on Azzure in the middle of combat. That was very good. Just leaves Szy'gash on his own, and Kempaz as well.
Those spike damages, though, even through Sank, to take that much damage is very uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
And it always makes you question, too. With all this going on, it always makes you question whether or not you're actually Sanked.
I know. I've done that quite a few times with Bodrum.
It's like, oh god.
Sometimes protection will get dispelled, and then it will look like an unsanctuaried acid blast just because of that character. Now, Stars is all officially in red right now.
And, you know, Sharks are, 2 of them are in yellow, 2 are in red. But...
So I can tell you what I believe is happening here, which is that this is what Stars did to Hydra last time. They knew that they were going to lose the head-to-head, so they stayed in their flag room. They suicided on KCS or Stars, or they suicided on Hydra, knowing that they wouldn't win the head-to-head, and then they came out full on and they played a great retake game. So I believe that they're going for this, knowing that if they do lose this fight, then they have to play exceptionally well on the second go-around.
That seems pretty likely. And it's something that they've been good at in many seasons is, giving up an early advantage and then using that to springboard into a late advantage.
Right, and the key is that, as you said, Merilith does pick up the flag already before the toast. Such good timing. He knew he was going down. But the point is that, last match you said it was pretty close, and what happened was KCS was in pretty good shape even when they came out, and then they sort of bottlenecked it by killing Kimpaz so fast that Stars came out not together. So if Stars do this right, then they can actually probably go for this 3-2 with a reasonable chance.
Well, they didn't manage to stall the pickup quite as long as they wanted. Merilith managing to sneak it in there.
And this is when Slann is going to go for his chokes, I believe. Szy'gash does go down. Stars is going to try to stagger here. But that capture was bad for Stars, to be honest, because Azzure, if he's blind, he's not going to be able to target Merilith with any success. That's going to be a stagger.
And it's interesting to me, just putting the Szy'gash play, honestly, I find interesting just because, there's no one on the enemy team to really be affected by Spirit of Protection, in which case you just are kind of adding another clerical up against like the most damage-heavy team.
Mm-hmm.
And Bodrum withstands and dies in the same round of combat.
Yeah, it was intentional, though.
You think he turned off Wimpy?
Yeah, they all died on purpose. But the problem, obviously, is that Azzure is stuck, and he has no definitive way of getting onto Merilith to die. And I think KCS is smart enough. They're going to keep him in the dark here.
I mean, he can try to
interrupt on the second go-around.
Yeah, but the ability to just hide it out is not there. He's just sitting here G-conning Grendel. What?
I don't know why you would do that. If he has health, he does die there. But if I see.
It's just suiciding.
All right, so you could have suicided in the flag room with a flash and saved yourself a little. Like maybe you could have interrupted for a few seconds and then forced them to kill you. That would have been a little more useful, but that gets it done as well.
But yeah.
Although those G-cons were pretty funny.
I mean, at that point, you gotta wonder if he wouldn't have been better off trying to choke him. Damn.
So we are seeing the slow sweep across.
Do you think a Bakalai can even fit his hands around a troll's neck?
I don't think so.
That's just kind of grab the windpipe, maybe.
It's like Gilbert Gottfried trying to choke Arnold Schwarzenegger. But we are just waiting for Tyrcell to get across. This is looking good. They did stack caps effortlessly. They are going to get the second cap at least.
And Merilith is in position to grab the third one.
He is, and KCS has healed up to yellow from that initial onslaught. They are going to try to force a fight here. At the least, I believe what they're going to do is go ahead and try for this third flag and then try to interrupt in their flag room. Tyrcell is on his way. And that is the second cap. And Merilith should be coming out now. I believe Tyrcell is not moving because he's waiting for them to come out. No, he does move. Merilith does go ahead for this flag, and now we see if they come out on this tick. No, they are waiting. Or they're not unghosted yet. But this is going... No, Kimpaz is out. Now he is not... He is going straight for the cap.
But he's visible. I don't think he realizes that.
And they are on him immediately, and if he can't get that cap, then this will be a short game. Of course, I believe it's 16 seconds. I believe somebody will come out soon. Merilith's Holy Smite
does miss.
Yeah.
That'll at least let him get some damage off if he doesn't just get completely...
Power swung to oblivion?
Yeah.
Okay, so he knew that he couldn't get the cap, and then he just went on Merilith, but Merilith does get rescued. We'll see if Merilith is a little more on point with moving this time. He had a little trouble with that last time. Szy'gash is going for the flag, I believe, because Kempaz could not take it. So Kempaz is trying to delay. Kempaz does go non-detect. They're going to go for a flag here. Szy'gash is waiting. Tyrcell is going. He's going to interrupt in time, I believe. Yep, he does. Grendel does take the blind there. Merilith is holding the flag, so Grendel has to go to him, not the other way around.
And Szy'gash is blinded, so he can't pick it up. Kempaz is going non-detect so that he can try to. But
now,
at this
honestly,
point, it looks like it's just going to be
is close. Merilith
it's just going to be a 3-0
Yeah,
unless Stars pull off a miracle here.
Merilith is 20 blue. If somebody does not capture that flag, that's game.
What Kempaz needs right here is Renthos's miracle.
Merilith is blue goal line. This is it, though. I mean,
yeah,
this is it.
It's just a rescue, and that's it.
Stars is out of the playoffs.
That was a crazy anticlimactic into this playoff match.
KCS is going to finals on July 7th.
Well then.
Okay, well played by KCS. They did not let Stars get any pressure outside of this. They took the run and they ran with it, and they knew that they had to interrupt.
I mean, you have to figure, okay, so why does Stars run Szy'gash instead of another option like the Zad? Is it just figuring they need the casting power from Imbue and the AoE Curse, thinking that is how they're going to win this? Because that's about all he provides is really just the added casting power.
Right, and they've run him... I can't think of a match where he hasn't been in this season, so they may have just been afraid to lose that team synergy going into that. Mm-hmm. But either way, they did double down, and it did not work for them. KCS just pulled an even better game off against the Stars.
And I guess that's that. How do you feel?
How do I feel about KCS?
Yeah, how do you feel going up against them?
Well, we were 4-0 against them in the regular season because fasting is powerful. I don't underestimate that team. The player skill is such that I believe anything can happen on the knots. I do feel a little more confident that it's a best of 5 versus a best of 3. I think that I think that if we lose a best of 5, we deserve to lose. So I'm confident in the number of matches. I do believe that they're a great team. They deserve to be in the finals because they've played better than most teams this season. And I'm just looking forward to a great finals on July 7th.
It should be an interesting set of matches for sure.
It should, but congratulations to KCS for upsetting in the playoffs twice. They are
pretty scary,
work, man. Yeah, they are Kingslayers for 2 seasons consecutively. But we will let you go at this. You know, something that we used to do is get the players on to talk briefly. Should we maybe try to do that?
We definitely can.
Okay.
Let's see. Do you want to try and get there'll be time to talk to Sharks later. Do you want to try and get Stars on here? I know Roberto is generally open to it.
I have a feeling that they're not going to be into it, but let's see.
Yeah.
I did put it out there, so we will see if we get a response. Bodrum is up for chatting.
See, I told you.
Good
Bodrum
old
and
Alex.
Roberto are good.
Okay. And I am asking Grendel as well if he wants to come in. Okay, momentarily we will bring a post-chat interview to you folks. Just stay tuned for a minute. Okay, I am going to bring Albert in. And we will bring Bodrum in momentarily as well. Grendel, are you with us yet?
Yes.
How do you feel right now?
I feel pretty good.
You feel pretty good? I think that's reasonable.
I mean, I thought it might be a little closer, but I mean, I'll take the win.
So, I mean, what do you think that you guys did different this match that you didn't do last match? Because Stars, one thing that seemed important is that Azzure came out late because you delayed him so well. Do you think that had something to do with it?
I think that partially had something to do with it, but also in the first encounter, I think we did better this time. And the Stars damage was a little too spread out over everyone.
I do think last time, like this match, they got an E-Drain off onto Merilith. Last match, they got the E-Drain off onto Tyrcell, and that provided a lot less like team healing versus the focused healing. So I think that also leads to a stronger initial engagement for Sharks.
Yeah, definitely.
I am trying to add Bodrum to the cast as well in order to get the panorama here. We'll
After
see.
after we were ahead 2-0, I guess we're debating whether we should try to rush the third cap because we weren't sure on their timers.
It worked out, and I think that sends teams into a panic generally, even professionally played teams, because Tyrcell can piercing wins, Spirit of Protection accepted, and Slann can flash as well. You guys have two ways to interrupt in the flag
we were
room.
just trying to delay the flag room after Merilith got halfway across the field, pretty much.
Right. Is Bodrum with us yet?
I think so.
Hey,
Hello,
you
sir.
you are with us. Are you feeling okay about this?
Yeah, the last match was really frustrating, but this one was a little too definitive to feel bad about.
It's almost better when you feel like you had no choice as far as winning the match.
Yeah, it didn't feel like I forgot to do something. Like the last match, I think you talked about it before, was just a cluster and mistakes were made all over the place. This one was just, we lost the fight and then they captured it 3 times. So it's kind of got a nice clean feeling to it.
I understand that, and they seem to execute very well versus you guys this go around. The flashes seem to be on point. They seem to hurt you more because you did not have time to get the Draco out. You took the Rake, which resulted in sort of Orab energy drains, and the Flash made it so that your Acid Blasts were in focus, so they were able to heal through that with Song of Heal and other AoE healing. It did look pretty definitive to me, but it's still a surprise, obviously, because Stars came out with they were tied or ahead on the #1 seed for the longest time, and then KCS just comes up from right behind again for the second time in 2 seasons, and are Kingslayers as far as the finals.
I think Albert in particular tends to be the playoff wild card every time. So we've gotten a couple of championships thanks to him taking out people in the playoffs. So it had to come back karma-wise once. And some of the things you noted about this match in particular, I think we did have some strategy changes going into it, even though we had the same lineup. I actually never tried for a Dracolich, and that was intentional. And I think it worked out on that end. I actually never got choked, so that necessarily didn't become a problem. But the attempt, we could have all died a little sooner than we did. Me spreading out damage is actually something I tend to do on purpose anyways, but yes, I was blind the entire time. So it's kind of, it was very interesting how it played out. We were trying to not just do the whole thing we did last time where we all die really quick and then all come back just in time. And we thought we could make that work. We thought we could at least make the flag carry for that first carry slow down a bit, and it didn't work. I mean, specifically when you saw me withstand, I was actually trying to flee before that, and I was hoping not to die within a single round. So
I see.
That was unfortunate.
Yeah, we thought that you were trying to suicide for sure because you were third on the number.
I don't know. It seemed unlikely to me just because that's rarely something he does. Just because Bodrum, like the strength of Stars, a lot of times is on the back of Bodrum surviving and just
Bodrum
being a huge pain in the ass.
So would Azzure have tried to die in that instance, and you would have tried to interrupt, or were you guys both going to stick it and just try to play an interrupt game? Because the clock is ticking, Merilith is moving across. Right. So it's got to be worrisome.
Well, it's 2 elements. One, if we're going to die, we want to die hitting Merilith, so at least it slows him down. If Azzure would be trying to die, and if he was there, I would still be chaining and just take him out myself, which would have helped because actually he did die a little bit later. Merilith was actually pretty hurt when I started chaining, and it was only, I believe, Merilith and Slann in the room at the time. So it was kind of last second where Grendel showed up and threw a power swing, and I was like, okay, this is a little bad, so I'm going to flee in a second. And I had like 400 health, but then I think Tyrcell probably walked in too, and the whole 4-person thing happened quicker than I was expecting. So originally I was just trying to chain Merilith and Slann, get some fleeing in, and just come back shadow form, chain again, but that fell apart. That wasn't the plan per se, but I was hoping to delay Merilith more since Kimpaz and Szy'gash were already dead. So.
I do have a strategic question for you. So after you lost of Azzure 3-0 and 3-2, was there any time you considered playing someone else?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Because Kinkari did very well against us, so we were considering maybe you would play him instead?
Right. When we played you guys with Kinkari, and I don't think we played you guys with Zad, but I know that Azzure was talking about that on the forums as well. We were considering both those swaps. Mechanically, they're very good. Kinkari in particular, just because he's had the experience against you guys in particular. But, I mean, your lineup was different there, and the issue we've been having with you guys recently is you've kind of got your groove down, and what happens, we've been doing the mistake of how we were training our newer players, because we kept doing like 3 vets and then 1 new person, so they really didn't get that much experience along the way. And what happened with like the Zad, and I think with even Nagon and a few other matches that we lost at the end there, every time we have a new player, they lose their positioning. And we knew that you guys would capitalize on that no matter what. Like, you have 2 acutes, you guys know how to chase. So if Kinkari got lost somewhere in the arena because he's just not used to our movements and used to your movements, and he would be the target, because I know you would target whoever our 4th person was, no matter who it was. So that was my thought, at least, and that was our thought. So we were saying just stick with the team we thought would make the least chaos,
so sticking with what you knew what to do with, basically.
Exactly. We do think Kinkari, for example, would be mechanically superior, especially because we have this whole problem with Flash and Charmies and the overlap and all that sort of thing.
An interesting point with doing Kinkari instead is then, like, if you're determined to use Szy'gash versus, say, the Zad, which I'm okay. So the decision to use Szy'gash over the Zad, is that purely based on like experience, or is that about the empowering Bodrum and Kimpaz casting ability with the combination of Imbue and Curse?
I think it's multiple bits of that. I would say that if we were to bring in Zad or Kinkari, but even Zad, we would still swap out Azzure. Szy'gash tends to do as much damage as Azzure anyways, and even, I mean, Flash is a big deal, but because of the way our team works, we don't really need it as much as some other teams. We generally don't run with an assassin the past couple of seasons at all. So the fact that we're using assassin at all is actually new to us. So we would probably swap it in for that role. Szy'gash gives the imbue, and then he also does the curse. So those 2 things kind of double up so we could try and land some stuff, which I unfortunately didn't. But then you also have some small elements where, again, his hitting is good. We don't have a lot of healing power when we are blind, because me and Kimpaz can only heal if we can see. So at least he could heal himself. So we have a flag carrier who can heal himself. As well as, I had some other point in there.
He's actually rather tanky too. Szy'gash.
Right, yeah, he's fairly tanky. That was actually something we were hoping to change this match, because as you guys noted, Kimpaz just kept dying way too fast last match. Every time he picked up the flag, Szy'gash tends to, and even in that match when he did have the flag, even though he did die, it lasted a lot longer. And so we were hoping to have Szy'gash be the primary flag carrier this time around.
Well, then, okay, so if you're determined to use those 3, right, Bodrum, Kimpaz, Szy'gash, and then as your 4th, going back to Kinkari, I feel like that synergizes a lot well. You lose Flash and Choke, but you get, Blade Singer, which is a very strong flag carrier in itself. And then that synergizes really well with the Szy'gash pick, because again, you have an at-level caster, an elf in fact, so even better than just a normal at-level caster that can have imbue and be affected by the or be empowered by the AoE curse as well.
Exactly. We were considering throwing Kinkari in there as like an energy drain bot at the start, just because he doesn't have anything else to use his mana on anyways, and there's no point for him to stun. Him stunning is mostly defensive because most of our damage is spell damage anyways. So that was kind of our hope. But again, that was a strategy we discussed. We decided not to go for it. But we all know on our team at least, that the synergy would be a lot better. I mean, you guys noticed our rescuing issues we were having last match too. It's because we can't flash, blind, and rescue unless it's Kimpaz's Charmy, because all the flash mechanics hitting group mate Charmies. If we had Kinkari, we would have the Yanlu, my Dracolich, the Golems, all without any worry from AoE generally.
Yeah, RNG
And
is so
Kinkari can rescue himself.
RNG is so specific with Flash. I've noticed that a lot of the time you'll get a skeleton out, and sometimes it will work in your favor, and sometimes Flash will just bot it. But yeah, I understand what you're saying about the fields that you chose. Even in, let's say, Warcraft 3 versus 3 or something, like during BlizzCon or whatever it is, they will have, 3 match. If you win 3, then you win the series, right? And teams will always go with their first lineup about twice, and then if something doesn't work, they'll try the third, which usually doesn't work anyway. But with this particular setup, with only best of 3, you guys have 2 chances. That's the extent of that. So it's either we double down, which we go with what we know, we go with what our most frequently fielded lineup has been all season, or we take a big risk. And if you take a big risk, there's a lot less of what you know. Like, it could go well, but it could also go terribly, and then people will blame you either way on the forums and the other mediums. Be like, what was he thinking?
Yeah, and I mean, I agree entirely. I feel like if this was like the best of 5 in the finals, we would have absolutely swapped it out second game so we could figure it out within those 2 first games and then change it up in the future. Yeah, I mean, we didn't expect to lose that first one. We were going in this a little arrogant, so that threw us off also.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's how it played out. So, but you're right. Your analysis is perfect on that. We can only lose twice, and that made things problematic because we really hadn't fought KCS's primary lineup with our primary lineup, except just the one time. So we only had so much experience to go off of that. And you always think you could fix your mistakes and everything will go a lot better, but that wasn't really the case, I think. So.
All right, Grendel, do you have anything that you want to add other than you're excited?
Not really. I'm looking forward to playing your team with like our real team for once, since that has happened only once.
Oh, right. Yeah, the first match of the season.
We've only had Merilith for 1 match against you guys, so we'll see how it goes.
I guess we're lucky that we have Veerstai back as well then.
Oh, do you now? Okay, that's interesting.
You guys take that seriously. When you're not used to their primary lineup, it's going to get really confusing in there.
I'm really looking forward to the matches. This season has just been overall a very exciting one. I believe that,
Agreed.
If somebody was going to list the 2 finals teams, it wouldn't have been Hydra and KCS. It wouldn't have been the 2 new teams, I don't think. Even if you go with Hydra had its draft and they were going to make playoffs or even finals, I don't think KCS was going to be mentioned quite as much. So another huge upset. And, this is the most competitive season we've ever had in KCS, is again the black sheep going into the finals here. That's exciting.
I think, and a very exciting point is that whichever team wins the finals this year is going to be KCS has won theoretically a championship in the past.
Well, just season 1, right?
Yeah, and that was a different owner, a completely different team. So as far as the 2 new owners and Hydra for their entire life, whichever team wins, it's basically their first championship. So
Yes.
I would still argue if KCS wins, this is their first championship because it's a different owner, a completely different team. And obviously Hydra, it would be their first one as well.
Yeah,
so
Hydra has never even been in finals. Tony messaged me and told me that. And I was like, wow, okay. And at first I thought he was wrong. I was like, that can't be right. Like, Galaglass was in finals, and then I looked at all the history, and yeah, they were. What was it, season 3?
Season 3.
But the point is, every single team has been in finals except Hydra, so I'm happy to get this far.
That is true.
Anyway, I will let you guys go, but thank you so much for coming on and talking with us.
No problem. It's always a pleasure to speak with you guys.
All right, Phil, do you have anything to say before we cut it off here?
No, I think I'm good.
Okay, well, folks, good night, and I hope you enjoyed the semifinals.
Have a good
Thank
night,
you guys
guys.
for casting.
Have a good night, guys.
All right.